The greatest racism I have experienced, I have experienced racism, comes from the modern left at a scale unimaginable, because I think they feel a sense of betrayal, saying that you're not speaking in the tone that you're supposed to. You literally did. So Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, I believe not putting words in anybody else's mouth. I believe taking people at their own terms on their own words. Right? So I don't believe in straw men. Ayanna Pressley, she's in the Congress today. She's a member of the squad. Her words, not mine. We don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. Literally word for word. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. Ibram Kendi wrote the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. I wrote Woke Inc. It was a pretty successful book. His sold more copies than mine. Here's what it says. Opening lines. The remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. So the other side will gaslight you when you say this stuff. It's like, oh, you're just making that critical race theory stuff up. No. These aren't my words. These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK. Really. And that's really what this is about.
All right, guys. So you remember when the mainstream liberal media had a full-blown meltdown over Vivek Ramaswamy declaring race hustlers like Ibram X. Kendi and Ayanna Pressley the modern-day grand wizards of the KKK? Well, you guys remember that? Yeah, they were boohoo whining and crying about it, Ibram X. Kendi and Ayanna Pressley, claiming that it was dangerous. It was dangerous to essentially call them out for the racist rhetoric that they spew in this country that, in my opinion, I think causes more hate and division than otherwise it would had they not spewed this type of rhetoric. But instead of addressing the argument, no, they just melt down and try to pretend that criticizing them and calling them out for spreading racism is, a dangerous thing.
Congressman, I'm going to let you respond to Vivek Ramaswamy first.
Joy, this is another reminder that the extremist GOP and their presidential candidates are a clear and present danger. So this is shameful, it is deeply offensive, and it is dangerous.
And Dr. Kendi, let me go to you, because he went further, continuing to talk about you on Meet the Press, and essentially blamed. He says this. He says he thinks that creating race-based quota systems, which I think he thinks affirmative action is, which it isn't, that deny people access to goods or services based on the color of their skin, that's not the right answer to stop discrimination on the basis of race. As John Roberts said, is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. And then he says that I'm genuinely worried that we're seeing a new wave of anti-Black and anti-Hispanic racism as a consequence of these so-called anti-racist movements. He's basically saying anti-racism is the reason for racist incidents. And he named you. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's a very old white supremacist talking point. White supremacists have been saying for decades that anti-racist is code for anti-white. And what's also ironic is the only reason why we're even talking about him, the only reason why he even has political standing is because he has a brown skin and he's attacking Black people. And that's really his job. It's the job of Republican candidates of color to go out to white Republicans and say they are not racist, and the real racists are the people who are challenging them. And so he's doing his job. He's feeding their denial, like a servant.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Instead of actually addressing the argument, right, in a honest way, no, it's, Vivek Ramaswamy he's dangerous, he's a brown face for white supremacy, this is white supremacist talking points. Again, he never addresses the actual argument, which is that the racist rhetoric that is coming from people like Ibram X. Kendi and Ayanna Pressley are causing more hate and division in this country. No. They don't want to talk about that, okay? In fact, Ibram X. Kendi claims that anti-racism is not code for anti-whiteism, right? This is what he says, okay? This is what he says. However, Ibram X. Kendi, while promoting his Netflix documentary on anti-racism, doing a talk, he essentially basically confirms that anti-racism is code for anti-whiteism, because this documentary is about the history of anti-black racism in this country. And during this talk, this guy explicitly says that whiteness is keeping white people from seeing the humanity of other people. And I want to get into that. And I got to give a disclaimer here first, just so that the viewers understand, the YouTube moderators understand, that the purpose and intent of this video is to denounce this type of racist rhetoric from people like Ibram X. Kendi. Take a look.
I don't think white people worldwide have really reckoned with how much their own personal identity is shaped by constructions of whiteness, and how much that construction of whiteness prevents white people from connecting to humanity. In other words, recognizing that when you recognize that you are part and parcel of humanity, in other words, you're not over humanity, right? It allows you to really be able to connect to people who don't look like you, who have kinky hair, who have dark skin, and to see yourself in them. And it's whiteness that prevents that, right? And when you're not able to see yourself in other human beings, that creates all sorts of problems. But not just societal problems, personal problems. That I think hopefully this film and this work will liberate those folks from. So I think it's liberating all the way around, right? I think it will liberate, really all of us, because, we've all been told a lie about ourselves and other people.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand, if there was a whole auditorium full of white people, okay, and you had white scholars on stage basically saying, hey, look, I've made this documentary about the history of anti-whiteness in this country. And the fact that you have black people, because of the color of their skin, because of their blackness, they can't see the humanity in other people simply out of virtue of the fact that they're black. What would the mainstream liberal media, what would the woke race hustlers of the left be calling that? They would be calling that a Klan rally, right? They'd be saying that this is a Klan rally, that this is racism. How dare you say that black people, because of the color of their skin, can't see the humanity of others? And that's where the hypocrisy comes in, right? This is why, I just found it so funny how these people wanted to pearl clutch over the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy essentially compared their rhetoric to the rhetoric of, again, a Klansman. Because, again, if you flip the racial roles, okay, in regards to who's spewing this type of rhetoric, that is exactly what you would call it. You would say, no, this is racist. Like, you can't say that. Like, you can't say that white people worldwide can't see other people's humanity just because of the color of their skin. Like, again, there's no nuance to that, right? There's no nuance there whatsoever. He's straight up saying, well, if you're white, then you just automatically see other people as less than human, right? You can't see the humanity of other people just because you're white. As if being white makes you evil, right? And that's just simply not the case. Okay, again, these are the people that claim that they're trying to rid this society of racism, but every time you look, every time these people open up their mouth, they're screaming racist rhetoric at the direction of white people, and for whatever reason, they think that that's going to make the country better. When the only thing that they're doing is that they are sowing more racial hate and division in this country with this type of rhetoric, okay, under the disguise of anti-racism, which again, clearly is just racism. That's exactly what it is, okay? And that's what blows my mind and frustrates me about these individuals. And what makes it even more frustrating is that these people explicitly want to push this type of hateful ideology in schools. Take a look.
We've been promoting the film.
What do I have next? I am doing a Stamp from the Beginning impact campaign. We made this film to change hearts, minds, and policy, and I am trying to work with our team of producers to make sure that it does just that. We want it to re-edit it so that we can get it to middle schoolers. We want to create curriculum. We want to do an annotated website and more, because it is crucially important that children of all kinds grow up understanding there's nothing wrong with Black people, but also grow up understanding that they have a right, they have an obligation, and they have the power to make change for everybody. So that's what I'm working on next.
Incredible. Incredible. Stamped from the Beginning is the title of Ibram's racist documentary that, again, Netflix, who's a woke company, is, they're sponsoring this. And again, this is where the hypocrisy is so amazing. How all of these woke companies want to try to stand up to hate and bigotry while at the same time promoting what, in my opinion, is a hateful and bigoted documentary, right? And this person says, well, I want to teach Black kids that there's nothing wrong with being Black. Or I want to teach all kids there's nothing wrong with being Black. But yet you're trying to teach that by teaching kids that there's something wrong with being white. Here's a radical idea. Why don't you teach people that there's nothing wrong with being any skin color or race, and that we should all treat each other equally, and that we should all, respect our neighbors, right? Regardless of skin color, right? What about that? Apparently that's a radical idea, right? Apparently that is a radical idea in 2023, which is simply to say, let's be colorblind. Let's stop trying to treat each other differently based off race. No. These people want to treat people differently based off race, and then they want to push it on children, right? They want to literally put the film in schools, and then these same people will tell you, oh, it's a myth. It's a myth that they're pushing anti-white racism in schools. Oh, no, it's making it up, man. It's a conspiracy theory, right? When they're literally telling you this is what we're doing. I mean, you have school districts like out in Oregon. I did a video earlier today in which they're literally punishing Black kids and white kids differently in regards to how they hand out discipline based off anti-racist principles, based off Ibram X. Kendi's ideology, right? They are setting policy in school. They are segregating kids in school. They are pushing like Jim Crow in school, except in reverse. They're pushing that based off this man's ideology. And for whatever reason, people think that this is the direction that this country should go in. This is social justice. Okay, this is how we're going to get to a colorblind society. When, again, these people thrive off of pushing this type of hate and division in this country. And I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it because all we hear about is the alleged racism that happens towards Black people, which I'm not saying doesn't exist. Clearly and obviously that exists, that happens. But on the flip side of the coin, these people are silent about the overt racism being pushed onto white people, right? When you have people like this guy being put on a pedestal by the woke powers that be to say crazy nonsense like this, that is just objectively not true. Because if what he was saying was true, okay, which is not, okay, if white people can't see the humanity of non-white people, then why the hell did white people fight and die in a civil war, literally because they saw the humanity in Black slaves? Why in the world did white people fight and die and get lynched during the civil rights movement? Because they saw the humanity in Black people and the fact that they did not have civil rights. How did that happen? If white people, because of the color of their skin, can't see the humanity in Black people or anybody that's not white, how in the world did the Civil War happen? How did the Civil Rights Movement happen? How did the North Atlantic slave trade end? Because you know who actually ended the North Atlantic slave trade? White people, right? White people decided that, this is wrong, right? We're going to actually try to end this, okay? We don't think that this is right, okay? Meanwhile, in Africa, you still had, the people there who, hey, apparently they thought slavery was cool. And other parts of the world was still thinking that enslaving so-called people of color was cool, right? Again, it's amazing how they just forget that bit of history, right? That bit of history just kind of, it eludes them, right? For whatever reason. Maybe because it doesn't fit the narrative. Because newsflash, the Civil War doesn't happen, okay? The North doesn't beat the South. Black people don't get civil rights unless you had enough white people that saw the humanity in black folks. But you can't tell that story. Telling that story, that brings people together. That makes it so people don't see white people as evil or as, every white person's out to get black folks or, white people don't see black people as human. That goes directly against that narrative. So let's not tell it that way. Again, it's amazing. It really is. I just cannot believe in 2023 that this stuff is being openly promoted by the same corporations that claim that they're supposed to be against all this type of stuff. But yet they're promoting it. Again, it's just, it blows my mind. It really does. And then again, these same people, when they get called out on it, they want to say, well, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for you to call me out on my racist rhetoric, right? As a deflection, because they know that their ideas do not stand up to scrutiny, which is, again, why you won't see Ibram X. Kendi get on stage with anybody else that challenges his ideas, because he knows that if he gets his ideas challenged, that, again, they don't stand up, that they are racist. And this type of rhetoric should be denounced, okay? And people should speak out against it because it is wrong what these people are pushing in this country, what they're pushing in corporate America, what they're pushing in academia, what they're pushing on children. It is wrong. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.